And we're live.
Nice shirt, Nathan.
Thank
Hello,
you,
everybody. Welcome to Live Reality Games, the podcast where we talk about the fact that people like to visit strangers from the internet. I'm Parker, and as always, with me is Nathan. Nathan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm going okay. How about you?
I'm just fine, man. I'm actually more than okay because we have a guest tonight.
Yes.
Very happy to be with us. For all you out there, he is the co-host of the Star Wars podcast. And in the world of live reality games, he is most well known for his time on Big Brother missions. Please welcome Michael O'Rear.
I was like, no way he's going to say Big Brother missions. No way that's coming out of his mouth right now. No, I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me. I am, I love live reality games. It's like, I guess when I was like a young Survivor fan growing up, like, I would spend my time watching like Sim Survivor on YouTube because there was no live reality games and there was no like international Survivor. If I wanted more Survivor, I either had to like play with my action figures or like find some really weird stuff on YouTube. So look, I'm very grateful for live reality games, and I'm grateful for this podcast, and I'm grateful to be here tonight.
The Sim Survivor podcast is next. We'll cover the avatars that they're playing with on there. I distinctly remember watching those videos as well, and they were every bit as good as you would imagine them being.
How good is that?
Not.
That's the only other Survivor we had. That's all we did in the off season.
It was all we had, man. So, Michael, just for people out here who aren't familiar with what you do, tell them what the Star Wars podcast is about.
Okay, yeah. So I started a podcast about a year ago to right around the time that a lot of like the Marvel TV shows were starting up, and I was like, this is, and like they had like 20 TV shows planned for like back to back for like ever, and I was like, this is like the perfect time to like start a Marvel/Star Wars podcast. So that's what I did with my friend Tommy Pizzullo, and yeah, we just talk about all the different TV shows that are coming out on Disney Plus and movies too. So yeah, big nerd here as far as that stuff goes, and yeah.
So which was more disappointing this year, Survivor 41 or Falcon and Winter Soldier?
That's a tough one. Probably Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's be real.
I'll say this: I at least finished Survivor 41.
Exactly. I made it past an episode on 41.
Exactly.
But thankfully, we have Survivor Angelica to cover, which is better than both. So
yeah. Again, another quote for a recommendation for the DVD box set, Nathan. Last time, I think you said it didn't kill me, and this week it's better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So,
if I were to rank the two, then yes.
But so everybody, check out Star Wars podcast once you get off here. But for tonight, we're going to talk about Survivor Angelica episode 4. Now, Michael, we haven't had you on here yet, so can you just tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the season so far? What have you liked? What have you noticed from a production aspect? What are your thoughts so far?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to clarify. I could never host a live reality game. Not even like even if like it was me and a buddy, I couldn't do it. I'd crumble under the pressure. I would never do it. And also, as far as like a player goes, I'm not good. I'm not a good player. I've never made it past 11th place. So listen, I am punching up tonight. Okay. So I have so much respect for all the people playing and all the people that put it together, but I'm going to call you out where I see it. And listen, it was hard to get through at first. Like the first episode especially was like a series of confessionals. And I was like, is the whole thing like this? And I'm not gonna like. I was like, this isn't fun. Like this, it's like just like diary entries basically of Survivor players. It's like you don't really get to see a lot of the talking. But now, with that being said, I've come around a lot. There is a lot more like interaction between people. And what I really appreciate is the duo confessionals, which is something we don't get on like actual Survivor a lot, which I loved in like Survivor Amazon. So that kind of stuff is really cool. And the challenges are cool. The host is like the coolest host there is, like cooler than like Jonathan LaPaglia or anybody really. Like he's just like what's his name?
Jason.
Jason,
yeah.
Yeah, so like, and he's like at tribal council, and like he sits back on his log with his arms crossed, and he's just like, all right, guys, what's up? What's going on? And he talks to them as if he's part of the tribe. He's like,
Yep.
I mean, we got to get our stuff together, man. Like he's not like Jeff comes in and he's like, you guys made an embarrassment of yourselves today, and this guy's like, no, I mean, look, it was a matter of chance, and look, what can you do about it? I'm like, this guy's so nice and cool. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
He's one of the like anomalies here, in which this is a man who would actually do well on the show he's hosting, where that is like unfathomable reality TV. Like Julie Chen wouldn't even get to past like night 1 on Big Brother. Like the producers would make a twist to get rid of her before that. Like Jeff Probst would crack the bed on Real Survivor. It would go on and on. But Jason is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason we've actually had him on the podcast. He is a great guy. He's super passionate about it. And I co-sign everything you said, Michael. So getting into tonight's episode. So we start off with, honestly, probably one of the funniest parts of the episode for me was immediately after we get done with the intro, we cut to a conversation between Kurt and Alyssa. No lead-in. It's almost like a cold open in a sitcom. It just opens on Kurt saying, I've gotten like a lot of votes cast against me. How many have I had?
7 or 8. I love how Kurt still doesn't understand how many votes are cast against him. In the first episode, he's like, I'm either going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 votes. I hope it's 3. He doesn't get any of those. And now he's still counting. And I'm sure that the number he gave was wrong.
It was way wrong. He's got like 3 votes, right? Am I missing something?
He's had a vote against him like every time.
Yeah, but like 1 or 2, not
right. Yeah, he's talking as if he's, gotten a whole bunch of votes each time, but he's only gotten like 1 or 2 each time.
Yeah. Kurt's the best, though. I love Kurt. He's definitely one of the stars of the season, and yeah, it's just he's so much fun. That I know you guys have already talked about it, but just like the confessional where he's like trying to go to the bathroom, it's like incredible. He's like, "Are we done? I gotta hit the head."
That conversation with Kurt and Alyssa was so funny, both intentionally and unintentionally.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those awkward situations where Alyssa knows that if they go to tribal council, Kurt is gone. Like and it's no discussion. But she has to give like generic like responses. Kurt's like, man, Chad might be a threat sooner or later. And Alyssa's just like, ooh, I don't even want to think about that. Let's win the challenge. And later on, Alyssa said that, man, I wish you all were horrible people because this is so hard. And I relate to that too, because while I was watching Island of the Idols, I really wanted to play that game.
But okay, to go back to that quote though, that is said in every single live reality game of all time, right?
Yeah.
That quote has come up at least like I've said that at tribal councils, and I didn't even mean it. So,
oh yeah. No.
I want to see that like dynamic where someone's just like, yeah, my tribe sucks. I hate all these people. I'm so glad I'm on a team with them because it's so easy to vote them off.
I feel like
have we ever gotten that ever?
No, but I feel like if Nick lasted a few more rounds, maybe he could have done that.
Yeah, maybe.
He was willing to say in confessional. I would hope he'd back it up in person. But no, we've never gotten that before. But absolutely, like you said, Nathan. Alyssa, I don't know if she drops the ball necessarily, but it's like she's definitely very vague with how she's talking to Kurt. And we've all played before. We've all been in that awkward situation. But I just want to give quick props to the editing team again, just because Kurt is such a funny character, but his sense of humor is so dry, it might be not everyone's taste, but the fact they edit it just in random intervals and don't give any context or set up to the joke make it so much funnier. So the editors have done a great job with that. But after that, we go into a conversation between Brett and Chad. And okay, again, I'm not just trying to point out all the parts that made me laugh, but again, this made me laugh. So Brett and Chad are talking about on the other team who they want to work with. And they name Amy, Chelsea, and Billy. And Chad starts listing off some reasons why it would be good to work with this 3. He says that Chelsea and Amy are strong. Chelsea has run a half marathon. These are both great reasons. He also says that Amy had great aim in the battleship challenge, and then it cuts to a scene of Amy is 10 paces from the board and just has to great aim. I'm sorry, just that was completely unintentional, but I laughed so hard at that. I'm sorry.
They need her battleship skills for future challenges, Parker. Come on. That's why they had to get rid of Nick. He was bad at battleship, and that's a huge indicator for your acumen the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, Michael, obviously these in live reality games, the challenges are not near like high scale or big budget as CBS, obviously. But surely Chad could have come up with more reasons for why Amy's a good asset for challenges than, yeah, she had good aim in that one battleship challenge.
Well, here's the thing. Forgive me now. I'm going to be horrible with the names. Is it Chad in this conversation?
Yes, Chad and Brett.
Which this is the thing you have. This is like a little tip from the great player Michael O'Rear for all you live reality game players. You never tell like the strongest person on the tribe that you're worried about somebody else's strength, right? Like or like that's not like a topic of discussion you want to have with like the most macho bro on the entire tribe. With that being said, though, I'm really appreciating Chad's game. I think he's a lot of fun. He seems to be like I don't know, like I have high hopes for this man.
Yeah. I love especially the conversations these people have about Kurt when he's not around. That's one of the best things about Kurt is that even when he's not on screen, the conversations had about him are insane. So Brett is worried and he wants to get rid of Kurt because he's afraid that Kurt will just betray everyone and blow up the game for no reason, just because he can. Now, I want to posit this question. Do you all think that's a good read? Do you think Kurt is like a suicide bomber in this way, that he's just going to destroy everything near him?
Well, in context of the Survivor Angelica series, we got to remember that Kurt is one of the co-creators. He's probably played this game many times. Like, does he really need a win? So if you look at it that way, I guess Brett is more so saying this is more about the experience for Kurt than actually trying to win. So maybe there's some validity to that, but it's just funny in the context of what we're seeing. We haven't seen any reason to think that Kurt would play that way. So we're getting this information that we haven't really elaborated on before. So it does come out of nowhere, like you said.
And if Kurt was one to do that, even better. We should have like one or two people every single season whose sole goal is to just screw up the game for other people, because it makes the game more interesting.
Yeah, do we need a saboteur? Is that what we're missing?
I think we had it. I think he was voted out second. I think that was the issue.
Oh no.
Kurt, we need more people like how, like, I remember we need more people like in old school Reelfoot seasons who didn't understand the game and just went with it, like Coleman or Dylan. We just need more of those people.
The people who realize it's a game and you got to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else? So I don't know if this is here or later, but Brett mentions that he's thinking about going against Alyssa because Alyssa slipped up and said she knew Sarah offhandedly.
Well, they've talked about that before. Sarah and Alyssa have had confessionals about that. It's just now Brett has that information, which obviously is not good.
And leave it to Brett to be planning like 5 votes in the future from here. This is becoming like a growing storyline where every episode Brett's like, well, for this instance, I know what's going on. But 5 votes from now, I have a feeling Kurt might be a liability in the post-merge phase of the game. He's really like twirling his mustache these last few episodes.
I mean, Nick's gone, so somebody needs to step in as the villain.
I guess.
Yeah.
But Jared was our big villain. As
I was about to say,
if
you ask the other team, Jared he does Survivor in his free time, so he is a huge villain. I want to ask Michael about that. Michael, Jared's taken a lot of heat, and as somebody who you described yourself as a nerd a second ago, is all the Jared slander justified?
Nah, hell no. Leave Jared alone. Jared's the best. The first thing I texted Nathan about me watching this was Jared was my favorite, and it's because he's so unhinged. Like I feel like he's like his on his face, it looks like he's always like defusing a bomb. Like that's he's like constantly worried, and like when he's in confessions, like he's like, okay, stop, we need to go further that way. And it's like, dude, just like whisper. You know, you're good. No, but I relate to it. Like that's who I am. I'm like very paranoid, and I saw a lot of myself in Jared, so I do appreciate his game a lot. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
What you were talking about with Jared, like looking unhinged, it was really amusing at Tribal Council. If you look at the rest of the tribe, the rest of them look like they've been there for 2 days. Jared looks like he's on day 38.
His hat's never on his head completely.
Like he has like leaves all over him. He has like a patchy facial hair. He has like brows below his eyes. It's very odd.
He's leaning over the whole time. Like he looks exhausted. Yeah, like he said.
Poor guy, leave him alone.
Because mentally, like Michael said, he's on day whatever, 30 something. He's exhausted. But speaking of Brett. You know, he talked about how Kurt is a threat. Well, Kurt is actually, I think, all jokes aside, Kurt is going to make a pretty accurate read. He's going to say that Chad is going to be a threat in the long term, and we need to think about that. And he's going to tell that to Alyssa. So I appreciate that because we really haven't seen a lot of Kurt trying to make alliances or trying to make inways in the team, but he has to know he's on the outs. He gets a vote every time. And I think he's well aware that if they lose, he's going home. So what do you guys think of Kurt at least trying to plant seeds in this moment to get himself off the bottom?
Yeah, I think it just reiterates that Kurt's like a serious player and he actually understands what's going on. Because again, I think like Chad seems to be like a very smart individual, and maybe not like maybe he wears it too much. He like the best comparison to like recent survivors like Shan. Like he's somebody that like you can just constantly tell that like they're in game mode, and it's not always a good look. But that'll be. I don't know if I want to hit my winner pick just yet, but I'll come back to that. But it's a contrast to that.
Until Kurt can't really claim to be like Shan until he has his own theme song. Like maybe he doesn't have a theme song. He has like a sound effect, like maybe like the bathroom stall closing. Maybe that could be like his little leitmotif whenever he enters the scene.
Exactly.
I guarantee you, we are the first people in the history of the world to compare Kurt with Shan.
So
but
you're
it's
saying
weirdly
that
apt.
I meant Chad is like Shan.
No. Nathan, you're saying we're on the right side of history with that Kurt Shan comparison, is what you're saying.
I mean, yes,
yeah.
We're gonna look back on whenever this Survivor Angelica season finishes airing, and everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, how did they call it by episode 4?"
We knew it.
We were way ahead of the game.
Yes.
So I don't know about y'all. The last thing I have before we get to the challenges, Brett is also gonna tell Chad that they need to be wary of an all-girl alliance coming up, and that's why maybe it's not the best to get rid of Kurt here. Now, Nathan, it's funny you brought up Island of the Idols earlier because this gave me vibes of Jamal talking about how there might be an all-girls alliance, and there potentially was one. So, and that's what Brett's trying to get at here.
Hopefully the next episode we could get like a tearful like tribal council. Like, I can't believe you thought there'd be an all-girl alliance, Brett. And Brett will like repent for his sins or something.
Vow out of the game before they vote.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, and Michael, you can speak to this as well, even if there is no all-guy alliance or all-girl alliance, these are things you're thinking about all the time out here when you're running through who could possibly be aligned with you. This is just going to cross your mind no matter what, right?
I mean, the first thing that I think when I start a game like this is like, who are the people that are like me? And that's my starting point. Those are the people I will the most easily connect with, right? I think that's natural for anybody. You know, you see it all the time in the show, whether it be women's alliances, people of a certain age, people of a certain color, you know, like no matter what it is, you're looking for something to bond yourself to other people for survival in the game. So, I mean, I think it is natural to like look at the numbers a little bit and be like, hey, maybe we can tip the scale back in one way, because even if it's not a thing now, we see things where it's like it'll come up like, oh, we weren't planning on it, but we could totally pull this off now, you know? So
Yeah.
Us three have never been accused of being in an all guys alliance, so we don't have any. We have no frame of reference for that. But I'm with you. These are just things you're going to think about. Even if Brett doesn't even believe this and he's just trying to throw the target on somebody else, it's good gameplay because you got to keep the target off yourself.
Because don't a lot of that might actually be justified because a few of these power players know each other. Like, don't Alyssa and Sarah know each other?
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be like a legitimate thing to be concerned about.
Right. And
so as long as no, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and we already talked about earlier, the people who Brett and Chad even want to pull in are two of the power players in the game, Chelsea and Amy, along with Billy. But Chelsea and Amy have a lot of control going on right now, so maybe there is cause for concern that they could take over the game if they really want to, especially now that Jared is gone.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, so anything else you guys had before the challenge happened?
Not really. I just have one big comment about the challenge. I think we all got the same comment about the challenge.
All right, well, let's get to the challenge. I'd love to hear that comment. So for those at home, it's the classic caller with blindfolded people directing them to get puzzle pieces. And I'm going to let Michael, I'm going to let you take over for this one. What do you have to say about this?
Well, first and foremost, before I get to like my favorite part, get rid of this challenge. They should never do this challenge because listen, on actual Survivor, they actually they put a diaper over your face and then they pull the buff over your entire head. You cannot see. Everyone is always cheating in this challenge. Everyone cheats. I cheated when I did this at Reelfoot. Just get rid of the game. You can totally see like your feet and like it just doesn't work. Okay, I don't like the challenge.
That's crazy that you say that because I could totally see both times we played this in Reelfoot. Both times, and I thought I was the only one, but apparently not. Apparently everyone could just see and we're all lying to each other.
Nathan, come on. Everybody could see.
So every time you all have played this, you were able to see.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Okay, I couldn't like see clear as day or whatever, but like I could see through it and like I could tell what was grass, what was rocks, you know, that type of thing. And like Michael said, I could see my feet. So there was no concern of me tripping over anything, especially if there was pieces on the ground. But yeah, my main thing is before we even get into the Angelica version, I'm with you, Michael. Of all the like classic Survivor challenges, right? The ones you think of, all the challenges you think of when you think of Survivor. This is one that's going to come up most of the time. I think it's overrated. Truly. I think it's overrated. I think it's done too much. And I get the appeal of it, but my biggest pet peeve is I don't like challenges where a lot of people don't have to do anything. Like, and the more people you have in this challenge, like say there's 6 or 7 blindfolded people, the caller is only going to use 2 people. Maybe even 1. Like, there's going to be a bunch of people who either just stand there or walk around pretending to be blindfolded. So, like, it's just, I'm more a fan of challenges where everybody has to at least do something, you know, to earn the win. So, I think this challenge really falls apart with that. But with that said, I did like how Angelica did it because there was only 3 people who were blindfolded. At least everybody had to get a piece. I prefer that to having 7 or 6 people out there and some of them don't even touch a piece. I don't know about y'all. I appreciated that at least everybody had to get a piece in this challenge.
The best case scenario for this challenge is what actually happened is when people begin to yell at each other. Even if you're not actually angry, it seems like you're angry, and then like things fume up anyways. So like that's what's always good. That's what's like just have people. They need to encourage shouting more in other challenges. I would say.
They need to just put earmuffs on people on every single challenge, so the contestants need to scream at each other.
That's what happened in my season. Jeff of Reelfoot, Jeff was just screaming at my team to try to get us to stop. Now, Michael, I do need to ask you something. Is it a valid strategy for the caller to jump off of the podium and run into the field and direct people? Is that a valid strategy?
I guess so, yeah. I would take it.
Do you know what he's referencing, Michael? Do you remember this?
I don't.
In Reelfoot, Bailey jumped off the platform and started yelling at people on his team and had them follow him.
That's
And
right.
we lost that challenge because they just started cheating midway through.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I did not know this until Nathan literally told me this yesterday. He texted me. He's like, fun fact about season 2, we had this challenge as an unaired reward challenge. And I didn't know if you remember that. So that's what I'm referencing. That would make me so mad. But Nathan told me that the host, Amos, he didn't say that it was against the rules. So he couldn't really say anything about it.
There you have it. Think innovatively, people.
Yeah, think outside the box. Bailey's a game changer. So thankfully for Jason, he did tell people not to jump off the podium. So good for him. I'm glad that they thought ahead.
They did I give them credit. They filmed this during the day. That was another crucial part, because filming this kind of thing at night is a nightmare.
Yep.
Like when we filmed it in 2, we couldn't see the people in the field. That was a crucial flaw with guiding.
Also, that field was like 3 weeks late on a lawn mow, so like all the pieces they were in the like just buried in grass. Like, go check that section of grass. That's like all you need.
So Angelica's doing great here. You know, it wasn't in the dark. The caller didn't cheat. The grass wasn't too high, so good for them. My favorite part was Kurt gets his piece pretty fast, and we have another great Kurt moment here. And Brett is going to wait to call on Kurt until he's the very last person on the team. And it just cuts to Kurt going blindfolded. He's just trying to get Brett's attention, and I just love that the camera got that. Like, even in challenges, Kurt is just a standout.
So what do we think about the picks for the callers here? It was Sarah and
Brett,
yes.
Yeah. Sarah was probably a good choice. Sarah was probably a good choice, I would say, just given I remember she was doing some of the directing in the last challenge where they had to stack the blocks. I remember she did directing there, so that was probably a good call. I would not have picked Brett. Or I would not have picked Brett as the guy that they were going to pick. Brett seems a little too soft-spoken, so I was kind of surprised they picked him.
Who would have you picked?
Well, here's the thing. I feel like it's almost an insult to like say that, oh, this person would be really good at this. Like, again, sorry to keep going back to season 2 real quick.
Go ahead.
But that was a position I was in. I hope Stacy's not watching, but she's a loudspeaker, and I was trying my best to like, hey, you're very good at like shouting at people, so maybe you should do this. I tried to do that nicely, it didn't work, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like you need a loudmouth up there.
Yep.
This is a very basic strategy, but like picking someone of the opposite sex from the other team is also pretty useful. So I wonder if like the other team was like immediately going with Sarah, so they're like, okay, we have to have a man in this role so we can distinguish the voices.
Good point.
No, that's not a bad call. Why do I feel like, Michael, obviously I wasn't there, why do I feel like you were trying to direct the challenge and like nobody could hear over Stacy? Why do I feel like that's what happened in season
No comment.
2?
I'm not going to drag Stacy anymore. Poor Stacy. But yes, that's exactly what happened.
But to answer your question, Nathan, who I thought maybe they would have picked Alyssa instead of Brett. I thought maybe I thought maybe they would have picked Kurt even. So I'm not saying Brett did a bad job. Obviously, they won the team or won the challenge, and he got his team members back before the other team. But I was kind of surprised by that choice.
Maybe they told Kurt like, "Hey, we want you to be the caller," and he said, "No, you guys, I have this amazing dance move that I want to pull off after I get the puzzle piece."
Yeah,
and that was persuasive enough.
Kind of. You brought up a basic strategy with this challenge, Nathan. I mean, when I did it, I thought it worked pretty well. Again, really basic. No rocket science here, but we just had the caller just told us, Brett, he just said, nobody say anything in the entire time if you're blindfold. Walk straight, and if you don't know where you're going, just raise your hand. And that kind of clouds out like the muffled voices of the other players and the other caller. So I thought that worked pretty well. I don't think they really did the strategy in this version, but that worked well for us.
The puzzle here was interesting. I've never really seen a puzzle like this before.
I really like the puzzle.
Same here. That was cool. I was really wanting to get in there and solve that because it just looked fun.
No, Michael, you're the caller.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
they were trying to tell you really nicely about it, but no, you need to be the caller.
I appreciate them letting me down slowly.
It was Chad versus Chelsea in the puzzle, which
yes.
I give anyone credit who's willing to take this spot in the challenge. Like, this is the GOAT position in the challenge.
Well,
because you're never gonna blame the blindfolded person for losing. Like, oh, they could have walked slightly faster back to the podium, loser.
Well, again, that's my problem with this challenge. Whether there's a puzzle or not, it weighs so much on the caller. In this case, the puzzle person. You can't. The blindfold. Everyone's gonna want to do the blindfold because that's the position you can't blame anybody on. But I'm with you, Nathan. I have mad respect to anybody who steps up to do a puzzle in any challenge, especially Chad in this instance, where he could have lost it for a fourth time in a row, or his team could have lost a fourth time in a row, and it's all on him. So good for him. I think he just got even more stock in his team for winning this. But it was a very cool puzzle. I've never really seen any puzzle like that. It was 2 pieces in one row, 3 in another, and 4 in another. That was a really interesting one. I enjoyed watching that.
So in Miracle of All Miracles, Malik wins.
Yeah,
shocking as that is.
That one time, have we?
Yeah, no, I was not expecting this. Especially again, I was alluding to like somebody like yelling a lot, and like Kurt was in that position. What was he saying? Like he was just standing there, like screaming the same phrase over and over again. That was good.
I don't want to make fun of these guys because I will, but I don't want to. But
I mean, that's like you have to do that, and it's been like it's not. I'm not like I would have done the same thing. Like I'm just gonna keep yelling until you call on me.
Right. But when Jason gives them the tribal immunity idol after winning the challenge again, I don't want to make fun of them, but I kind of thought the reaction was kind of like underplayed, I guess. Like they were so underwhelmed with winning. It was like they just got a $5 gift card at Sonic. It was like I was surprised because I remember back, like I can't speak for y'all in your first season, but in both of my seasons when we won, especially Nathan, you and I in 6, after losing the first, we were going crazy. Like we thought we won the Super Bowl, and then these guys were like, "Yay!"
Yeah, whatever.
It was just surprising.
Yeah, any stick the first day than they were to win the immunity.
Yeah. But was I the only one who thought that maybe that I was surprised at like how kind of calm their celebration was?
Yeah,
it was
I didn't
very odd.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't necessarily pick up on it, but yeah. I also don't remember anybody like being excited. So
right. They
studied the words of Rory before the season, and they wanted to win with class. They didn't want to gloat too much.
That was classless. I'm here to point out, just like when Nathan didn't notice Jillian's shirt. I'm on this podcast. I'm here to point out the stuff nobody else notices. But we're gonna see Bosser go to travel for the first time in this game, and not looking good for Jared is the understatement of this century.
Jared,
but no one in their confessionals could articulate this. They go to Chelsea, and she's like, it's a little complicated because we pulled in Steve and Janet, and we're all voting for Jared, but Jared, he thinks we're voting for Janet, I guess. This game's so complicated. And then they go to Jay, and he does the exact same thing. Like, you could literally not have a more straightforward vote than this.
Who was it that said they're like, well, look, we don't want to like alert Jared to anything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk like the least amount of strategy as possible with him. I was like, I think that's like the opposite of what you want to do in a blindside, right? Like you don't like ignore the subject.
I didn't catch that, but there's no doubt in my mind, given what everyone else said, that's what happened. Nathan, did you catch who said that?
I did not catch who said that. There was basically no conversations before the vote. They're all just like, "Yep, Jared's going." Sounds good. He's voting for Janet. And Jared is like, I think I got this. I think I'm like midway through merge already, but I need to plan for the end game better.
It's really impressive the way that they are blindsiding people out of this game. Like, and especially in the fashion that, like, most of the time it seems pretty straightforward, especially in this situation. Like, everyone's like on the same page, and then you have somebody like Jared's like, what am I gonna do next round?
Right. This is a point that we talked about last week, Michael, where like all three of us have done confessionals for a Survivor game before, and there are sometimes you get people who just, I don't know, we'll just have to see what happens. Just beat around the bush, give you nothing to work with, especially if you're making episodes or something like this. So I said I at least appreciate the fact that Jared was willing to say something that could absolutely be led to an ironic downfall and lead to us making fun of him on the podcast. So as someone who's done confessionals, do you appreciate the fact that people are willing to set themselves up like this?
I mean, I made a fool of myself on a daily basis in Reelfoot. Like, just like, because here's the thing, like, if you like call your shot and you do well, it looks so good. And then if you like look like an idiot and you're blindsided, it's like, well, people understand what a blindside is. Like, it's more impressive to go in talking a big game than it is embarrassing for you to go out blindsided, in my opinion.
In 6, I was just actively trolling with it. Like, in the rare case where I got confessionals, I would just go in there and I'd say, like, yeah, it would take an act of God to unseat me from this amazing position. There's nothing production can throw at me to stop me now. I am an invincible God. Like, I was saying that kind of thing to confessionals just because it's funny. Like, if I do get voted out, that makes it all the better.
I remember you told me when you got back to camp, you said that because we all knew a swap was coming, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go say this in confessional." So
like, yeah, there's no twist that can stop me now.
I love it.
Nathan, you alluded to something a second ago when you said, what was it? Chelsea was the one who was talking as if they were going to do a split vote when they obviously weren't. Like, so here's what we have to do. We have to make sure Janet and Steve are on board. We got to make sure Janet thinks that Jared thinks that she's going home. We got to make sure that Steve doesn't screw up the fire making challenge. Like, they had to do all this stuff. They were talking about it as if they were planning for a split vote. But that's not what happened at all. So it was really funny. They talked as if this was some very elaborate move they had to make when it was so straightforward, like you said. So I thought that was quite funny.
Parker, it was a split vote. It was 7 votes on Jared, 1 vote on Janet.
You're right.
It was not unanimous at all.
You're
this
right.
Is like 40 chess.
If they lose the next 2 challenges and they go to the merge and Janet is still there, I hope she does the same math that Kurt did. She gets 1 vote each time. And she's like, what? I have 7 votes cast against me or something. 8 votes,
something like that. Ballpark.
In the ballpark. Anything else before tribal that?
Well, I do want to touch on the other tribe because we do get a couple quick scenes with them. And I do appreciate, I don't know how this happened, but Brett appears to be the swing vote in this tribe at this point, which, like, I figured, like, this would be the time where, like, all right, time to get Brett out of here. But, like, it seems like he has all the power, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was really impressive, so just wanted to touch
Brett
on that.
is seemingly, it's insane. He seemingly is controlling both tribes. Like, because he says all his friends are on the other tribe. But he's still in control of the purple tribe. I don't understand how this is happening here.
I mean, that's the other thing about the women's alliance. Like, they were talking about the concerns of the women's alliance, but they get back from the immunity challenge, and 2 of them go off this way, 2 of them go off this way. Brett's like staying in the middle, like, oh, where do I go? It's like there's like it could not be more obvious.
I'm kind of with you, Michael. I gotta give credit to Brett because, like, last episode, it was all about Brett and Alyssa, the dynamic duo, Chad and Taylor, the dynamic duo, and then Kurt is on the bottom. You'd think Kurt would be in this position, but no. Now it's apparently Brett is going to call the shots between Taylor and Kurt on one end and Alyssa and Chad on the other. And yeah, I would think Chad would be in that position, but no. Now that Brett knows Alyssa knows Sarah, now Brett's calling the shots. So, like, it was very fast. Like, I'm sure this game is happening for them. We often forget, since these episodes come out once a week, that this all happened in the span of, I'm going to say, an hour, maybe 2. these games have to go by fast, but it was very odd that Brett managed to get himself in this position. And like you said, Nathan, he's almost calling the shots for both teams. Very impressive.
Yeah, but Tribal Council happened so early in this episode.
Yeah, I was like, what's happening? Are we getting like rocks here? They're like, we really don't have any more strategy here. This is it. Like, it's all...
We're like 55% into the episode. Like, okay, time for Tribal Council. Like, oh, dang.
My favorite part of Tribal Council is the tiny tiki torches.
Yes.
They're just like, they're like candles. I like it.
Right.
I'm pro tiny tiki torch.
Right. I appreciated, okay, who was it? Somebody... Oh, it was Steve. I appreciate Steve. We kind of alluded to it earlier, how people just give nothing answers at Tribal, like saying how things are all so kumbaya and you love these people when you really don't. Now, I probably do buy it from Steve. Steve just seems like a really good guy. It just seems like a team player. But I remember he said something along the lines of, what's been great about this team is that nobody's been calling the shots. If he has a suggestion, we don't all, he's open to listening to other ideas. When that completely contradicts everything they've been saying about Jared, because the way they talk about Jared is he's the one who's been throwing out a bunch of different ideas and has been sneaky. So I just love the blatant disregard for Jared because they all think he's going home.
There were a lot of ironic comments at Tribal Council. Like, one of the first, like, the thing that they're hitting home is, like, Jason's like, so guys, you've done good in the challenges. What do you think went wrong this time? And they go, well, we all love each other so much, blah, 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 blah. And then they say, we're so great at communication. Now, of all the challenges to cite communication, this is like the only one where communication is the only element of the challenge.
Well, there's... Sorry. I was gonna say it's you're right, because the challenge is an example of it, and also there's like the very obvious juxtaposition of like Jared immediately getting interrupted when he's trying to speak, but not even just that, but like if you notice throughout the entire Tribal Council, there's like 3 or 4 people talking at once, like answering the same question. It's like that, not like none of them are like actually listening. They're just talking.
That's so right too. I'm glad I'm not the only one who picked up on that, because that's kind of what happened. Jason would ask them a question and nobody would just let one person answer. Everybody had to give their opinion on it.
There was one point where somebody was answering a question. I like heard some, couldn't even make out who it was. They were just like, they were also answering the question like down on the other end, like quietly. I'm like, what's going on?
It's so rare because normally no one wants to talk at Tribal Council,
No.
but meanwhile, Jason just like throws out a question to like a specific person, and people are butting in. Like Jason was asking someone a question. He's like, "So, how do you go about voting someone out?" And Jared just butts in, and he's like, "Jason, do you mean how we're going to physically vote someone out? Because we're gonna go up to the podium and write down a name." And then the tribe like, like, was that quip worth like just interrupting the conversation? Was he like saving that up?
Too good.
He's been waiting 4 rounds to get this out. He finally made it happen.
Most live games, people give one-word answers at Tribal, but everyone is stumbling over each other to say something. I understand, because Jason is super cool and like he's really good at leading these Tribals, but it's like y'all need to calm down a little bit. Like Jason's gonna have to bring back, what was it, the conch shell from Borneo? Yeah. All right, it's your turn to talk. That's where this is headed.
Drop the 4, keep the conch shell.
And the gong.
I can't with you. Yes. Any other ironic comments, Nathan, that you noted at Tribal?
No, they were all, it was funny. They just all went with it. They're all like, yeah, we were so great at communicating, except for this communication challenge.
Well, remember, they said they all loved each other, and this was a really hard vote because these are all great people. So the way that they had to cope with the fact they're about to blindside their dear friend Jared is just talk and joke about everything, because this is not a serious situation at all. As if they've treated Jared like one of their own at any point.
Okay, in all seriousness, do you guys understand why Jared has been voted out? Because the entire episode, I'm waiting for a reason, but they're all just talking like he's a dead man already. Like, yeah, we have to vote out Jared.
Because he does
There's no other
his
option.
Free time.
Yeah.
Like, I guess he said he was really great in the challenges, and they're blindsiding him for that. Is that the reason? I don't get this.
Well, he said he knows Sarah, and maybe Sarah has told people that. Maybe people know they know each other. Maybe Jared has slipped up and told people they know Sarah, but that would be my guess.
So he has an alliance. Has a previous relationship with someone who's running the tribe, and therefore he has to go home. I don't understand this through line here.
Mike,
yeah, it's like
go ahead.
It's like Patrick on here, Patrick and Allie.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad comparison.
Yeah,
Patrick and Jared.
Yeah.
I wish Jared would have howled at the moon like Patrick allegedly did. That was my only complaint here.
Patrick yelled at the moon?
Yeah, did you hear that?
No.
This is unrelated, but they said Patrick would just wake up in the middle of the night and start screaming, like, to get the cameramen near him.
I did not hear about that. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Nathan, did you catch any of the voting confessionals for this round? Which is something that's pretty cool. They do show us what everybody says in the voting confessional. I like that Survivor Angelica does that.
So Jay is very paranoid here. He says, I can't put it past them for this all to be a gigantic ruse and them all to unanimously vote me out this tribal council. But Jared, for my game, I hope you go home this round. I'm like, Jay, what game are you playing?
Well, here's the issue with that is I think Jay actually Jay should they vote out Jared, I guess because they were concerned or he's a threat or whatever. That they should have done that to Jay. Jay is the actual threat. He's
Jay's
way better.
This game.
He's way better at competitions. He helped design the competitions. He's won. He knows people in the game. And he even he has confessions I can't wait for a swap so I could just work with other people. I'm like, okay. You don't even know him yet. You're just gonna do it.
Plus, if you keep Jared around at the rate that he's aging and relative to his time on the island, he'll be on day 92 within the next few hours.
Yeah.
So he might be medically evacuated. So just keep him in for those reasons.
Yep.
No, Jared's a bigger threat than Jay. Come on, guys. Come on. Y'all blasphemy.
Did you catch any of the voting confessionals? Because I didn't really all of them were Jared, you're such a great player, but due to overwhelming evidence that we will not cite, you must go home. There's no other option.
No, I mean basically that they were all pretty similar. Not that they were bad or anything. It's just none of them really stood out, like you said. So I can't think of one off the top of my head that really stood out. Michael.
Yeah, no, I was about to say none of them really stood out to me. But hey, before we start to close things out, I want to give you guys my winner. Do you guys have winner picks?
I could come up with one. Let's all make one.
Well, okay. I got one, and I feel confident about it. Taylor is winning the season. Taylor's the winner.
Yeah, I can co-sign this. I think
I've never seen somebody so primed, and just looking at the cast in particular, and the people she's up against. Taylor is winning, and she's smart too. She's not afraid to cut throats, and she's very unassuming. A lot of she's just super calm, and you would never suspect her to be an aggressive game player, and I don't think she necessarily is. But I think that's what it takes to win the game sometimes is to not be super aggressive. And that's what she has. And I'm saying it here first. Taylor is winning.
It reminds me a little bit of Pia from Australian Survivor, where she's a target the first vote. And then you just never hear anyone throw her name out. No. I mean, there are 5 people on her tribe and she's not even in the conversation, which is weird.
No.
And Brett is thinking of every conceivable angle. He's like Doctor Strange thinking through all the timelines. And in all the million timelines, Taylor is not the next boot, according to him.
Yeah. I really do like that pick, Michael, because just, again, going off the previous boots, a lot of very vocal and aggressive players have been voted off already. We saw Nick get voted off, and now Jared was voted off. So the more vocal people have been voted off. And just if this trend continues, I could see the more vocal players go after each other, and I think it could be a quieter player that wins this game, and Taylor's one of the best positioned of the more like low key under the radar players. So I think you're really onto something. Nathan, what do you got for a winner pick?
Let's see. I'm looking through the list.
Taylor.
Of people.
No, just kidding. Don't.
I would either go with Taylor or Amy at this point.
Good picks.
Maybe I think Billy's well set up as well, but I would be worried that he would get clipped because of people being worried about him and challenges. I might have to go with Taylor though, because some of these other people are going to be targeted because they have a million friends on the other team, which apparently that's not an issue. So I shouldn't be evaluating that. Like people hear you have friends on the other team, like okay, let's keep them in there.
Right. Well, I won't pick Taylor just so not all of us pick the same. I won't do that. I think she's going to be in trouble come the merge, but I do think there's a shot for Chelsea. You know, she's playing a social game. She's close to Amy, who has a lot of connections. She's close to Billy, who has a lot of connections. I'm thinking she may be that person who is close enough to people to where she gets credit for the moves, but when it comes time to vote out threats, she's not pegged as the biggest threat for all the moves, and yet she can still take credit in the end. So I think there's a shot for Chelsea here. Obviously, Taylor, I think, is definitely a contender. And I wouldn't rule him out yet. I do think there is a shot for Brett even. Again, I think more than likely he's being set up for a big downfall possibly, but I do think if he can just keep up what he's doing, he could have a great shot at winning. But
Parker,
I think primarily I'll pick Chelsea.
Parker, if Brett wins this season, it'll be the most comically dominant game ever played anywhere. Like, the dude has dominated the game the whole way through on both tribes, allegedly.
You act like we haven't seen that before in other live games.
Have we seen that? Oh, yeah, never mind.
We participated in one, Nathan.
You participated in one. You've been on production for one. Come on. Now, notice I said Chelsea and Taylor first, though. Again, I'm just saying, if there is I do think it'll be a quieter player. But if somebody had to win who was quote-unquote more vocal, I do think there's a shot for Brett there.
Is there any chance for Jay here? Like, because I could see it, potentially.
I could see it.
I
don't think he's going to do that at all. I think I could see him like in like the Final Four spot. I could see him being like the last of the people like he's not going to be the biggest threat at the merge, but they're going to like pick off a couple, and then it's going to be him and like three other people that aren't as much of a threat, and they're going to take Jay out. That's kind of how I picture a story going.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I have to put it out into the ether just so maybe it'll come back to us. If Kurt wins this game, my God.
It will be. You said that Brett will be the most comically dominant win. That's Kurt. He's been very dominant.
Kurt literally created the game. And there he was.
Kurt literally doesn't even have to stress about the strategy. He'll use the porta potty instead. Like, come on.
Yes.
He's not been in any danger.
It's like the Dr. Manhattan strategy. Like, create the game that you want to win. You know? It works out.
If Kurt, yeah. And there's a few other people who I think, just to shout them out, who are playing well, but I think they're going to be targeted. I think Chad and Alyssa are both playing very strong, but I think at this point they're too outward to be considered threats, or to be considered like, oh, we can beat them in the end. I think they're playing a little bit too outward, and they'll be taking out those two. And again, I think someone like Sarah is also playing very well. She's clearly feels good enough in her alliance that she can cut Jared, who she does have a relationship with. But the fact that Brett has this information, she knows Alyssa, I do think Sarah will be in trouble in the future.
I would think Steve has a good chance, but I don't know if he can ever recover from that horrible fire performance. No. I think he might just get to the end and the jury won't give it to him because, you know, he did so poorly with... Yeah.
He won the challenge, and it was still a horrible performance. I don't think he's going to make it.
I wish that storyline carried through. That's my one thing with this season. I wish they were still talking about Steve winning that challenge, but not winning it by enough.
That was my favorite part of the first episode. Of just dunking on Steve. And Janet, I think, is unfortunately probably Janet is. Let's just get into predictions for what we think is going to happen next. Obviously, the previews show there more than likely will be a swap of some sort, maybe an opportunity to mutiny. But let's just talk about the tribes as they are just for a little bit. If Basra loses again, the green team, it has to be Janet, right? Who's going?
I think either Janet or Steve. Yeah,
that's the thing. I think, but Janet's very much in the same position Kurt was in. I don't know that Janet has the same social clout to do what he did, but I think Janet, we could see Janet be continuously that decoy vote.
That's true. What do you think?
I think we're probably seeing Steve go if they lose.
Yeah, I think Janet could be right now. In order to get to the merge, Janet could be that backup target that never ends up being the prominent target. And then Steve, yeah, I do have to imagine, unless somebody's trying to make a move, on Billy or Sarah, which I don't know why that would happen. They're in the 5. I do think Steve and Janet are in trouble. Again, going back to Malik. Last week, Kurt was dead in the water, but it turns out that now Brett called him. What did Brett call him? His sub-ally? Something like that? So now that Brett is calling the shots, maybe there's hope for Kurt here? I don't know. But who do we think leaves if Malik loses?
Is that a compliment, though, to be called a sub-ally? You're not even to the point of someone that you could work with. You're a little below that.
Well, isn't that kind of what you call your friend that you only call to hang out with if nobody else is available? You're my sub-friend.
I think that's what I call my favorite boss at work. My manager, he's my sub-ally over here.
Yeah, you have your allies and then your medium allies, and then you just have way down low as you get to a new tier that has sub-ally.
Would you rather be an acquaintance or a sub-ally?
Is there a difference?
Probably sub-ally. Acquaintance.
Yeah, I guess it's better than acquaintance.
Yeah. Acquaintance is a person on the other tribe that you have not you shook hands with at day 0.
Acquaintance is the cameraman.
I'm taking the Malik tribe at face value here. I think Brett is the swing vote, and I think he's going to decide to stick with Kurt, and I think he's taking out Chad.
Which that'd be funny if that happened. I kind of hope that happens.
Why would that be funny?
I don't know. I just think it'd be humorous that they voted out Chad after they've lost all these challenges.
After he won the challenge for them, and then they said early in the episode, yeah, Kurt just kind of does his own thing in challenges, which is a vote we didn't talk about. But another reason Kurt is a threat is apparently he does his own thing in challenges, which I don't think we've heard from at any point, but that's apparently how they see it. But that would be kind of funny if Chad finally gives them their first win. It's all right, thanks, buddy. It's kind of like you and me, Nathan. We're going to vote out the people who win challenges for us.
That's a good method to do it. That's a way.
But okay, I do think I think you're right, Michael. We could be seeing a Chad blindside here if Brett is off to make a big move, or Alyssa. Is there any chance he just gets rid of Alyssa here, despite being so close to her for so long?
I feel like if he's gonna make that big turn, he would want to take out Chad. I feel like that's the juicier boot here. I feel like he probably is closer to Chad and Alyssa, but I think he also is afraid of them. Therefore, it's going to be a big decision for him to flip. So if he does, I don't think he wants to deal with the aftermath from Chad. So he'd probably just take out Chad.
Basically, everyone left in the game is Brett's alliance, according to him. So he'd be turning on one of his 11 allies.
True.
So that'd be a pretty big step.
He literally has he has sub allies and acquaintances on the other team. He's gonna show up to Sarah at the merge and be like, "Hey, remember when we said hi to each other for 5 minutes on day 1? We had a really good bond there."
You and I right now, we're acquaintances, but I think you got some sub-alliance potential.
No, you. Why did you were able to mask the cadence of a typical LRG player very well there.
Thank you. Are we good with this episode? Is there anything else we want to cover?
Well, I'm trying to think. we talked about predictions for who will go home. I guess just briefly, let's just talk about what do we think this. We saw the preview for next episode. Jason is going to come up and say that he needs them. What did Jason say that they need to do? They need to write down names on a sheet of paper, or is that what he said?
It seems
we're
like
probably
the
doing China.
Yeah, I was about to say the China thing. They're gonna like vote for two people to come over, and they'll just swap whoever has the most votes on both tribes.
That would be my guess. And in that case, there's no sense in trying to predict what they're gonna do. But this could easily happen. We could get another Aaron Riceberger situation here. The great.
Well, I just like no matter what it is, I'm glad they're not just grabbing a buff. Like that is like the most boring way to do a swap. I like to see like there's more social interaction in something like this. So I really do. If that is the case, but I mean it's definitely a swap. I guess the question is how is it logistically going to work? So
right.
Yeah,
it's definitely a swap, and I think y'all are right that it's probably the China one. So I'm curious. I don't think I've ever seen it in an LRG other than just being in CBS Survivor. I don't think I've ever seen it be done before. So I'm kind of curious if that is what it is, how it's going to play out here, especially because the cabins are like so close to each other wherever they're playing. So honestly, they could literally just say it and the other tribe will hear who they're going to pick before Jason delivers them the news. All right, we're picking Chad. What? Like, honestly, that could be what happens. But that's all I could think of for this episode. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
That's it. I just want to thank you guys for having me. And if you want, I don't know, there's another opportunity for me to come chat with you guys. I'll do it anytime. So.
Absolutely. We have a few things to plug here. And Michael, while you're here, we really appreciate you joining us. Just where can people listen to your podcast?
I mean, wherever you find podcasts, iTunes, you just look up Stark Wars. That's it. Just type that in. You'll find it.
That's a great name for a podcast.
Yeah, whatever came up with that.
I hope he got credit.
He did.
Is it on? So it's just like, is it just audio, or can you find it on something like YouTube?
We stream on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/SirZaps. But we don't really advertise it. We like for people to listen to audio one. Right. But you're welcome to listen either way. If you want to find us on Twitch, you can do that, or just find Star Wars.
Yeah. In all honesty, everybody listening, it's a really fun podcast. Michael and Tommy really know their stuff. So if you're interested in Marvel or Star Wars, I would recommend listening. And Nathan, we actually do have something else to plug here from Jason himself.
Yes, we do. Let's see. They're casting, right?
Yes. So Survivor Angelica, for all you at home who are enjoying this season, watching, and you want to try out Survivor Angelica for yourself, they are casting currently. Let's see. Can you pull up what their website name is? I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I can pull that up.
Jason, he put it in our chat. I don't want to say the wrong website.
Let's see. Having this available beforehand, that's for losers. This is the way to do it. Let me see.
There you go, in the chat.
What? Amazing.
What? Oh, no. Wow. It was ready. Sorry about that. But yeah, Survivor Angelica is currently casting for their newest season. There's the if you want to fill out the application, the website is right there on screen. It's a great game, honestly. I haven't played it, but just from talking to Jason one-on-one and from watching the episodes, there's a lot of passion that goes into this game. It's a really fun time, especially if you live in the area where it takes place. If you're interested, go ahead. They're always looking for new applicants and new people to bring in. So if you're interested, throw your hat in the ring.
All right. We'll catch you all next week.
Yep. All right, guys. This was our final Angelica podcast before the holiday season. So for everybody at home, happy holidays. Everybody, please stay safe, and we'll be back next time. There's a new episode. Thanks everybody.